There was a moment, an exact moment, not a year, not a headline, a moment, where the people who run this world stopped laughing at crypto and started fearing it. You didn't see it happen. Most people didn't, because it didn't happen on a chart. It happened in a boardroom, in a closed-door meeting, in a phone call between a central banker and a finance minister who both said the same 4 words: "We have a problem." And today, I'm going to show you exactly what that problem was. Because once you understand it, you'll never look at Bitcoin the same way again. Let's go back, way back, to when crypto was a punchline. 2011. Bitcoin is worth about $1. The financial press calls it magic internet money. Comedians make jokes about it on late-night TV. Bankers roll their eyes. It's a toy for libertarians and computer nerds in basements. Nobody in a suit is losing sleep over it. 2012. It runs to $20,000, and suddenly everyone's uncle has an opinion. But even then, even at the top of that mania, the people who actually control money, the central banks, the treasury departments, the regulators, they weren't scared. They were amused. They called it a bubble. They called it tulip mania. They said it would go to zero. And for a while, it looked like they might be right. But here's what nobody was watching. While the world was laughing at the price swings, something else was happening underneath, quietly, structurally. And that's where our story really begins. Because a joke doesn't threaten anyone. A threat does. And crypto crossed that line the moment it stopped being about price and started being about power. So let's break down exactly how that happened. 5 moments, 5 cracks in the old system. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why governments that once mocked crypto are now racing to control it, ban it, tax it, or build their own version of it. Because you don't regulate a joke, you regulate a threat. Number 1, the moment money stopped needing permission. Think about how money has always worked. Every dollar you've ever spent had to pass through a gatekeeper. A bank had to approve the transfer. A payment processor had to clear the charge. A government had to allow the currency to exist in the first place. Money, for all of human history, was something given to you, not something you owned outright. Bitcoin broke that. For the first time, value could move from one person to another, anywhere on Earth, without asking anyone for permission. No bank had to say yes. No government had to approve it. No processor could freeze it. That sounds simple. It's not. That's the most disruptive idea in the history of finance. Because the entire system of control, sanctions, capital restrictions, account freezes, all of it depends on one thing: choke points. Places where money has to pass through a gate, and someone is standing at that gate deciding who gets through. Crypto removed the gate. And once people in power realized that ordinary citizens, not criminals, not spies, just regular people, could move meaningful value outside their control, the tone changed overnight. The joke stopped. The hearing started. Number 2, the moment a country said yes when it wasn't supposed to. For years, the assumption was simple. Crypto is a fringe asset. Real countries, real economies will never take it seriously. And then, a country did. When a national government made Bitcoin legal tender, something shifted that most people missed. It wasn't about whether the experiment would succeed economically. It was about precedent. It proved that a sovereign nation could choose an asset outside the control of the traditional financial system and put it on equal footing with its own currency. That terrified people who had spent their entire careers believing currency was something only a government could create and control. Because if one country could do it, others could follow. And if enough countries followed, the entire architecture of global finance, built on the dominance of a handful of reserve currencies, starts to look optional. Not guaranteed. Optional. That's not a joke to a central banker. That's an existential question. Number 3, the moment the money supply stopped being a secret. Here's something most people never think about. For decades, you had no idea how much money actually existed. Central banks could expand the money supply, print more currency, and the general public wouldn't feel it until inflation showed up months or years later, disguised as just the economy. Blockchain technology changed that. Bitcoin's supply is public. It's transparent. Anyone, anywhere can verify exactly how many coins exist, how many will ever exist, and exactly when new ones are created. No committee, no closed meeting, no surprise announcement. Suddenly, ordinary people had something to compare their own currency against. And when they did the math, when they saw their savings losing value year after year, while a transparent, capped asset held its scarcity, trust started leaking out of the old system. You can't put that trust back once people see the comparison. That's the part that scares them the most. Not that crypto is volatile, that crypto is honest. And honesty makes the alternative look worse by comparison. Number 4, the moment institutions stopped fighting it and started buying it. This is the twist nobody saw coming. For years, the loudest crypto skeptics were sitting in the boardrooms of the biggest banks on earth. They called it a fraud. They called it worthless. And then, quietly, some of those same institutions began filing paperwork to hold it, to trade it, to offer it to their clients. When regulators approved spot Bitcoin exchange-traded funds, allowing everyday investors to gain exposure to Bitcoin through a traditional brokerage account, that wasn't a small technical event. That was the financial establishment admitting, in writing, that this asset was no longer something to dismiss. And here's the part that should make you sit up. Once an institution owns something, it no longer wants that thing to disappear. It wants that thing protected, regulated, and stable enough to hold on a balance sheet for years. The same entities that mocked crypto in 2015 are now some of its biggest advocates for legitimacy because they have skin in the game. That's not a joke anymore. That's a threat to anyone still betting against it. Number 5, the moment governments realized they couldn't ban it, only compete with it. This is the one that changes everything. For years, the assumption inside government buildings was simple. If crypto becomes a real problem, we ban it, shut it down, make it illegal, and it disappears. It didn't work. Every country that tried outright bans watched capital and talent quietly route around them. The technology didn't need permission to exist, remember? You can ban an exchange. You can't ban a protocol running on thousands of computers across 100 countries at once. So the strategy changed. Instead of banning it, governments started building their own versions, central bank digital currencies, trying to offer citizens a government-controlled alternative before crypto became the default choice. That's not the behavior of people who think something is a joke. That's the behavior of people trying to outcompete a threat they can no longer eliminate. Think about that for a second. The same institutions that laughed at Bitcoin a decade ago are now spending billions trying to build their own digital currencies, just to keep up. You don't do that for a punchline. You do that for a threat. So where does that leave us? Right here, right now. At the point where crypto isn't asking for permission to exist anymore. It's already here, already used by millions, already integrated into markets, portfolios, and even national reserves. The question isn't whether it's real. The question is who gets to shape what it becomes next. And that's exactly why this moment matters so much for you. Because every technology that threatens the old system goes through the same 3 stages. First, it's ignored. Then, it's mocked. Then, it's fought. And by the time the fighting starts, the early people, the ones who understood it before the headlines caught up, they're already positioned. They're not scrambling. They're not panicking. They're just watching, calmly, as the world catches up to what they already knew. The people who win in moments like this aren't the loudest. They're the ones who paid attention while everyone else was still laughing. So here's your takeaway. Crypto didn't become dangerous because the price went up. It became dangerous because it proved an idea, that money doesn't need a gatekeeper to have value, and that people, given the choice, will choose freedom over control every single time. That idea doesn't go away. You can regulate it, you can slow it down, you can compete with it, but you can't unlearn it once you've seen it.
And that's the real story behind every headline you've seen about crypto crackdowns, new regulations, and government warnings. It was never really about the technology. It was about control and who gets to keep it. If this video helped you see crypto differently, that's exactly what this channel is here for. Every week, we break down what's actually happening beneath the headlines. Not the noise, not the hype, the real structural shifts that decide where this space goes next. So if you want to stay ahead of the next moment instead of reacting to it after it's already happened, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and drop a comment below telling me which of these 5 points hit you the hardest. Because the next shift is already forming, and this time, you'll see it coming.